Hey everybody, Pastor K here with your Monday Morning Minute. Let's go. Hebrews 12:1 says, "Since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside the weight and the sin that so easily ensnares us and run with endurance the race that is set before us." This comes after Hebrews 11, which many call the Hall of Faith, because the writer of Hebrews lists a lot of great men and women in the Bible, many from the Old Testament, that endured various things they experienced in their lives in order to run the race and in order to fulfill God's plan and God's will in their life. And so then when we get to chapter 12, the attention turns back to us. And it tells us, again, that we need to look at the witnesses that we have, look at the examples that we have from chapter 11. And it says, so now that you have that, now that you see what they have done, then it says, now let's lay aside the weight and the sin that's holding us back and run with endurance the race that's set before us. And so I want to encourage you today because, it may be easy to define what's sin. We can look at the Bible and say, okay, well, that's sin and that's sin. And so many of us have, we got to a point where, well, I know what the sin is, and, I don't do any of those things. However, there are some things that we are allowing in our lives that may not be sin, but it's weight. And we need to be able to recognize what the weight is and what's holding us back. Now, for each person, that weight is different. My weight is definitely not your weight, and your weight is definitely not mine. Again, sin is sin. But the weight that is holding us down could all be something different in our lives. That weight could be, it could be worry, it could be fear. And mind you, these things aren't necessarily sin. Worrying, fear aren't necessarily sin. However, they go against God's will for our lives, because God's will is that we don't live in fear, that we don't live in worry, that we don't live in stress. And so there are some things that we are allowing in our lives. But because we're focusing on, well, I'm not sinning, but it doesn't mean that you're not allowing some weight to hold you down. And indeed, life is a race. But here's the thing. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's not about really who gets to the finish line first, but it's about who can endure. It's about who can get beyond the things that are trying to hold you back. Again, not the sin, because we can define that, but it's those things that are coming along, the weight that we allow in our lives. And let's be honest, nobody can run weighted down. Nobody can run with a lot of weight on you. So in order for you to be able to run this race with endurance, and the race is your race. It's not anybody else's race. So it's not about you looking to the left or to the right, about who's in the lanes beside you, but it's about knowing your race and knowing your pace for your race. It's interesting, we're looking at the Olympics right now, and I was thinking last night, I was watching the swimmers, and I realized that when swimmers get in the pool, they can't see who's to the left or to the right of them, depending on the style of swimming that they're doing. Most of the styles of swimming that they're doing, they don't even have the time to look to the left or the right to see what's going on in the lanes beside them. They can only swim their race. They can only go about and go about the race that is set before them, the lane that is set before them. And many of them don't even know where they've placed until they have touched the wall and have reached their head out of the water. So I want to encourage you today, again, not to worry about the left or the right, not to worry about what everybody else is doing. Drop your weight so that you can run your race. So drop the weight, run the race with endurance. So be encouraged on today, guys. All right, let's start this week off great. Have a great day on purpose. Talk to you real soon. God bless.